I have been mentored throughout my life. My first mentor when I was 21, who was my boss when I became an article clerk, he's still one of my best friends and one of my mentors, 45 years later. And then when I moved into an in-house role, my first CEO and my second CEO were great mentors to me. You know, they recognised that I was a good lawyer, but I didn't really know much about running a big business. And so they took me under their wing and they taught me. For me, the key elements of mentoring would be firstly connectivity. Because if you aren't connecting personally, it's very difficult for people to open up and be really frank with each other. And I think frankness, willingness to take a bit of risk in the relationship is really important. Secondly, I think it's a willingness to be mentored. I have had circumstances where people have been dragged kicking and screaming into a mentoring relationship, and it's a really bad start. I think being able to define what people want out of it, why is someone being mentored? Why do you want to mentor? You know, what is it that you think that you have to offer? Being able to define that, because it is an offer and acceptance between the two. So really important to understand yourself as a mentor and for the mentee to understand why they're there and what they want to get out of it. And then I think maybe reflection, because at the end of it, you do need to look back and say, well, we've put a lot of effort in here. Did it work? Was it helpful for both mentor and mentee? What has worked in the mentoring program for women on boards that I've been involved in have been in different cases. So a couple of times I've mentored syndicates. I love the syndicates because you get 6 or 7 really disparate women, different career stages, different desires, different businesses, and they are sort of required to meld themselves into a team with some assistance from you if needed. And you, as a mentor, you get to really mentor 6 or 7 people at once. So it's quite an exciting ride sometimes. On the one-on-ones, if I think about some of the one-on-ones I've done, one I did recently was for a much older woman who had had a career, a very successful career in consulting, and I think had some life changes and wanted to get into some government boards. So that was really interesting because she was more experienced than I in lots of ways, but not experienced in looking for a board. So we had some really fruitful discussions about helping her articulate what her offering was. Because when you get to about 70, it's hard to look back and be really objective about what your offering is. My biggest challenge as a mentor would be, I think, objectivity. I have a tendency to really want to get into the detail with people and get to know them really well. So you have to sort of be careful that you don't suddenly become a coach and a life coach, that the role is really just mentoring. And then sometimes it's hard to let go. You know, it's sort of like sending your children off into the world, see how they go. There have been some tough cases where people have looked for sort of career advice about should I quit? And that can be difficult because, you know, I'm not really a career advisor. But you can give them some advice and hope that it's the best advice. I think helping them build networks is the best and the hardest part of it. What I try and do with them is explore what it is they want, you know, and what it is they think that they're selling. You know, who are they and what are they selling to the market? And then try and join the dots for them about, well, do we know anybody, you know, in my network, or do they know anyone sometimes in their network that can help them? Because it's quite surprising how often they have terrific networks and they don't realise, you know, that they've got that person that they could call. It's never occurred to them. I had one person I mentored, and I started asking about who he knew and who he went to school with, and all of a sudden he's given me 4 or 5 names. I would be happy if I could ring those people. Hadn't even occurred to him to ring them. So the networking, it's critical. You can't do it by yourself.